Hello everyone, ex-wallkill Bethelite here. And the Bethel tours. I remember giving a lot of tours through the farm, a little tour route that they had there. And it seemed to me, more so now than it did then, that those tours are very underwhelming. You have people who have traveled long hours, some of them by bus, not very comfortable. To have a lot of people piled up on a bus traveling for hours and hours and hours to get to Wallkill for a tour. And then when they get there, they get to walk through a factory, see printing presses. They get to see things that they actually didn't have to travel hours and hours and hours to go see. And I kind of noticed sometimes that it just seemed like people would get there and they'd be so excited for their Bethel tour. And then I would take them through the tour route, and I have my little card of information. And then after the tour, they didn't seem all that impressed. They didn't seem overjoyed. It didn't seem like they had tears running down their eyes because they just saw the house of God in action. There was a particular couple that I recall, and they were telling me how far that they traveled. And they were telling me that they had a lot of difficulties on the road. They had problems with their car. This happened and that happened. They got a call about a family emergency, and they couldn't make it back because they were on a road to Wallkill. I think they traveled over 10 hours by car to get there. And when I'm hearing all this, I'm wanting to give them the best tour. I want them to be so encouraged that they go back so happy that they went through all the time, effort, and money that it took to go on a Bethel tour. So I start my tour in the main lobby. In the main lobby, they had a little display in the back. Went through the display. Took them inside the factory area. Showed them the display of how a Bible was made. And I tried to put a lot of energy into each display that they had there. But there's only so much I can do as a tour guide. As a tour guide, I can only show you what's on the tour route. The tour route needs to be better. You have people who are coming there specifically for encouragement. You have people that are coming there specifically because they have a person in their group that they're trying to impress. Now, this was early 2000s. I don't know if they've changed the tour route. I doubt that they have made it that much better than what it was. But after the tour, I just felt like some of those people went through so much that a governing body member should have been there sometimes. Shake people's hands. Someone that people recognized should have been there to shake people's hands. At the end of the tour route, maybe a little gift basket, maybe a little gift bag, little Bibles in there, little gifts, Something to make people feel good. Something other than these people traveled all this way. All these people are traveling all this way to see a factory. I don't know how many of you guys have gone on a tour through a factory, but it doesn't tend to be the most encouraging thing in the world. We would show them the dining room at Wallkill. The dining room was on the tour route. And at Wallkill, the dining room has a mural that was painted by Jehovah's Witness. So we would show them the mural picture that went all along the wall of the dining room. I don't know if people want to travel over 10 hours to see a mural, but there was nothing on that tour route, to my knowledge, that would really impress, really encourage, and it just seems like there's so much more that could have been done. Maybe a little movie room where people will sit down and a governing body member would be on the screen. You know, not personally there, but each time a tour would come through, the governing body would do something special for that particular thing, for the tour. So they sit down and, wow, we saw the movie or the little film with the governing body member thanking everybody for coming through. Something. Every now and again, you would have people that just seem sad. They seem like they needed encouragement. They needed to be uplifted. And it just felt bad to me as the tour guide that there just wasn't really anything on the tour to uplift them. Unless they like seeing forklifts, they like seeing magazines put in boxes. You know what I mean? They like to see a dining room. It just, there wasn't anything there. And then you had people who would be impressed by anything. I worked in shipping and receiving. I had several different assignments during the course of my time there at the farm. But I started off in shipping and receiving, and sometimes tours would come through there. That wasn't the normal tour route, but sometimes tours would come through there. So I remember we put all of an order on a pallet, and we would put that pallet on the wrapping machine. A little shrink wrap would go all the way around and wrap up the pallet, and then, you know, we would stage it so it could be loaded on the truck the next morning. Well, the machine won't go if somebody's standing in the way. You see, there's a scanner there, and it knows if somebody's standing there, it's not going to swing around and hit them. It'll stop. Well, there was someone that went on tour, and I remember we had a pallet with tomato sauce. Casa was on the box. Casa was one of the companies that they work with. And a brother walked up to that pallet as it was sitting on the wrapping machine. And we thought the wrapping machine, you know, would be a little entertaining because the machine goes around the pallet with what looks like shrink wrap, a large thing of shrink wrap, and is wrapping that pallet. And what we would do is we would label that pallet, whether it was going to 90 Sands, whether it was going to Bossert's, whether it was going to Patterson. See, whichever building that was going to, we would label it so that they would know. So as the machine's working, we would reach our hands out there, put the label on, and as the machine comes around, the shrink wrap holds it up there. But we would have to move and jump out of the way before the scanner. So we thought that took skill. You know what I mean? It takes a while to learn how to do that. So we're wanting to show them how to do it. But we couldn't get the shrink wrap machine working because this brother is standing and looking at that pallet of tomato sauce, boxes of tomato sauce, like it was gold. I remember the brother was staring at the pallet, and he reached his hand out and he rubs on top of one of the cases, and he's looking at us, and he's looking back down at the case, and he pats it, and then he stands there for a while just taking in this pallet of tomato sauce. You know what I mean? Like, this is the most awesome thing he have seen. Sometimes you had people like that where it took them forever to go ahead and move along so that we can get the pallet wrapped up. Sometimes you have people like that were going to be impressed regardless of what you showed them. You could show them the Bethel toilet paper, and they would look at that roll of toilet paper like it was the most awesome thing that they had ever seen. As a matter of fact, if you gave them, some of the people, if you gave them a roll of toilet paper from Bethel, they probably would take it home and put it up in a display case somewhere with that toilet paper in it. Some people were that way. And yes, as a tour guide, you kind of felt good because you're a part of people just being in awe, people seeming satisfied. But everybody was not. Everybody was not just overly indoctrinated to where anything would have made them feel great. Some people came and they would look at you as a tour guide. You could kind of tell that there was something up, kind of sad, something's up. And then they kind of look at you for encouragement. They're not automatically encouraged by everything. They're looking at you for encouragement. You try to give the most energetic tour you can, but at no time walking through a factory. We even had a forklift that would extend so high into the air to be able to get pallets from as high as you could imagine. And I showed them that. And there was nothing spiritual about it. It was a forklift. That wasn't doing it. So I remember getting a tour from my old congregation. And, it's your old congregation. So you really want them to be encouraged. You want them to go back feeling awesome. So I remember going and I gave them the tour during the tour route and was as energetic as I could be about everything. But I added a little bit. I took them a couple extra places because it just didn't look like it was doing enough. The tour, I can only work with what's there. So I took them a few extra places, and after the tour, took them somewhere where they could sit down and have a Q&A. So you sit down and you can ask me any question, and I'll talk to them about Bethel and things like that. And they seem to enjoy that. As a matter of fact, somebody that was not in my tour route, they weren't in my tour group, came in and sat down and was like, man, I want that guy to be my tour guide. Just adding a little extra in there for the group. Now the tour went over time a little bit. And I remember I caught, I got in a little bit of trouble for that. I got in a little bit of trouble for the tour going over. Now, my overseer being racist and looking for any little thing didn't help. But me coming back a little bit late, I ran back to my assignment and still got back a little bit late And man, they made as big of a deal about that as possible. And it's like, this is supposed to be loving. If we show a little extra concern for people, they can go home from these tours feeling good. You got people that be impressed with anything, but some people aren't. I think everybody would go home from these tours feeling good if we showed a little more personal interest. If we weren't worried about just hurry them, get them through the tour, and get back. That's where Bethel is just a business. It's just a company. It's just take them through that tour, get it done, get back. If you spend a little extra time with them, put a little extra sauce on the tour, you get in trouble. Or at least I did. So comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Bethel tours. When you went, did you feel encouraged? If so, what did you see walking through the factory that made you feel encouraged? Of course, I'm talking about the tours at Wallkill, at the farm. But you can include the tours at Brooklyn, or if you went on tour at Patterson. I know Patterson had some nice displays. Wallkill had a big picture of Babylon falling. They had that big picture of that, But again, is that enough for people that have been traveled to see that picture? So comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. 937-789-4029. Send a text or we'll chat. Wallkill Bethelite signing out.